Okay, so if you are separating from the military or have separated from the military, I find that there are a lot of people that do not do as well as they could when they separate because they may not have prior experience or they may have some expectation that things are going to be a lot better or a lot easier. Nothing changes in the sense that you'll always have to work. Your obligations will be different. The type of work you'll be doing may be different, but there's always that looming responsibility. So don't fall into the trap of I get out and I didn't plan properly and I don't know what I'm doing. So like going back to my GI Bill video, make sure that whatever you're studying, you're not just wasting your benefit, because you might find out I majored in something that's completely useless and there is no job market for, and now they're no longer paying me housing allowance. What do I do now? That's the last thing you ever want to happen. You want to make sure that every benefit that you use to the best of your ability. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about resumes and applying for jobs online. So this is extremely important information. It's amazing to me that my wife is, for example, is getting her master's degree right now, and she's going into a highly in-demand field, speech language pathology. But nobody in the course of her 6 years of education now has not once has anybody taught her how to apply for a job. And I talked to countless people out there that were never actually taught how to apply for a job in the modern era. So let me give you a great example. A great example would be my experiences. So I found out that I could apply for jobs on USA.Jobs.gov as a veteran using my veteran status prior to getting out. So I was still active duty, and I put in for a job. I said, wow, look at this. It's close to my house, kind of, I'll apply for this Department of the Navy police officer job. Well, USA Jobs got back to me a couple weeks later and said, you're not qualified for this job. I said, that's ridiculous. How am I not qualified for this job? I'm already a police officer on a Navy base. Well, the reason I wasn't qualified is because what a computer does when it receives your resume is because there are literally thousands of people that job on the internet. Whoever has access to the internet has access to that job listing, more or less. So when you put in your application, the computer sorts it into different boxes. Like it puts the unqualified, the somewhat qualified, and the very qualified, right? And those are the categories. Well, how is it making that decision? A computer cannot understand an abstract concept. A computer can't really understand a complete sentence in the same way that a person can. So, for example, when the job listing says under experience, it says police patrols, and my resume said police duties. Those are not the same in the eyes of a computer, so it's going to say that you're less qualified. So how do you mitigate that? Well, first and foremost, you need to write a resume. It's so important that you write a resume, but a master resume. And then for each job application you do, you need to tweak that resume to match the job listing. Now, that could take a tremendous amount of time, but what you can do is I'm going to recommend a site, and I'll leave the link in the description. It's called Jobscan.co. Jobscan.co. So I highly recommend, when it comes time for you to apply for a job, you pay for a 90-day subscription. It's invaluable. So basically what you do is you copy and paste the job listing into one box, and you copy and paste your resume into another box, and then you hit scan, and it tells you what percentage of match you are. Then you can go through and you could gradually tweak the wording of your resume until you are a really good match. You want to get yourself in the 80% range, So it's amazing how much of a difference it makes. Like that first job as a Department of Navy police officer, I was unqualified for. The second job I applied for, I got an email right away asking me to come in for an interview. So that's an example of some invaluable knowledge that even people like my wife, who is well on her way to her master's degree, they don't provide you that information in college. They probably provided it for you in TAPS class if you were paying attention and you had a good instructor, but it's so important nowadays. It's absolutely invaluable. You can apply for jobs until you're blue in the face, but if the computer doesn't say you're a good match, well, guess what? You're on the bottom of a pile of 4,000. So that's something that I found to be absolutely invaluable. Now, as far as veteran specific, let's get into some veteran specific job applications. So if you would like to apply for a federal job on USA.Jobs.gov, as I said, you will need to use job scanning software. You are eligible for two programs that are excellent. That is the Veterans Employment Opportunities Act of 1998, which, long story short, what this will allow you to do is this will allow you to apply for jobs that are typically only open for current federal employees. So now when it says, when you're putting in your search criteria, you could put federal employee. You could say that you're a federal employee even though you're not, and you are eligible for those jobs. Now you will get preference points, and you also get additional preference points if you have a disability rating. But here's a really, really good one. I use this to get in with Customs and Border Protection. I ended up not pursuing that because I ended up going a different route with my NYPD job. But a veterans recruitment appointment, I'm going to just read you the description of what it is, but in a second. But this allows you to do a couple of things. So first off, let's say you want to go to work for a certain agency. You have a certain agency in mind. You go directly to that agency's website and you look around for a veterans link, because what that will do is that will take you to an unlisted job on USA.Jobs.gov. Like, it's a job that's more or less unsearchable. It's just for veterans. And what that does is if you're within 3 years of separation and or a variety of other criteria, like if you have campaign medal or something like that, it offers accelerated hiring and possibly a higher pay grade when you do get hired. Like, so for example, with me, I applied for Customs and Border Protection under a veterans recruitment appointment. I got my test immediately. I had an interview scheduled right away. They waived my physical fitness test, and they also waived my medical screening because they took all that stuff from the military because I was so recently separated. So those are just a few things that I think will really help you out and really give you that push in the right direction. It's very, very important, so very important that when you separate, to treat your free time not as just free time until you have a permanent career. Last thing you need to be is another one of those guys holding up a sign. Thanks. Have a great day.